challenge. This is the second week we're doing this. We're going to do it every week in June.
It's so exciting.
It's so exciting. So we are still putting out additional videos, right, Ange?
We are. We will have a video coming out Friday, and that's going to be exciting.
That is exciting. So what is the video Friday? Can you give us a tip?
It's going to be a video about outlining. It's going to be a teaching on how to do that and some tips on how to make your outline the best it can be.
Nice, nice. All right. So we are doing our June writing challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here is our format.
Oh, nice.
What is it, Ange?
We got a 5-minute focus on our topic of the week and a 20-minute writing sprint, 5-minute break with further discussion, and then another 20-minute writing sprint, and then Q&A, discussion, and a wrap-up.
So we really want to encourage you to be active in the chat. Tell us what your questions are as we talk about this week's topic. And let us know, what are you working on? Are you working on fiction or nonfiction? And these are two very different types of writing, but they are very related, right? So
they are. And really the principles that you learn in fiction, it applies to nonfiction too. Because if you're writing nonfiction, you want it to be well written, and you want it to be engaging, and you want the reader to be invested in what you're writing just as much as with fiction.
Yeah, and the elements of story to keep people interested very much applies to nonfiction. So
they do.
Let us know in the comments if you are writing fiction or nonfiction. It's good to see you tonight, Josh.
Hello, Josh.
You got our message. That's great. We'd love to give you some feedback. We'll work that out a little bit as we go along. And yeah, we'd love to just give you some feedback on what you're writing and help you move forward, because that's really what we're for, is to encourage each other to write, to take a step forward. And it's hard to step out there sometimes, isn't it?
It is. And it's really helpful to have encouraging community. And that's something that I'm excited about.
Yes. So this week's topic is
the hook and the inciting incident.
Yeah, this is a great topic. A lot of people struggle with this, don't they, Ange?
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with it, and there are a lot of different opinions about the hook and the inciting incident. Some people think that they're the same thing. I personally disagree. I don't think they're the same thing. I think they are two different elements to your story. But with all the things writing, there are lots of opinions.
There are lots of opinions, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's chat about it just a little bit. How much time do you spend writing your hook? What would you say, Ange?
I say I'd probably spend more time on the hook and the inciting incident than I probably do the rest of the book. I mean, it's so important. Like, you write the whole book, but then go back and go, okay, what is my hook? Does it really capture? Is it as strong as I want it to be? And now about the inciting incident, is it as strong as I want it to be? Right. I personally spend a lot of time on those two things.
Drop us a comment and let us know how much time you spend on your hook. I spend a lot of time on my hook. Like I rewrite it over and over and over, and oh man. So I spend a lot of time there, because the hook really, it's that initial thing, and I want to get it right so it grabs people's attention.
I will say that the Electrical Saga, which is in the process of publication right now, book 1, The Uprising, the first chapter, I think that first chapter was redone more times than I can count. Just trying to get it just right.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have any questions about the hook, what it is, the inciting incident, where it's at, where do you put those things in the book? You know, what all do they encompass, things like that? Ask the questions in the comments, and we will talk about that as we go forward here.
And just as a side note, we've got multiple videos on the channel about this topic.
Yes, we do. And they're actually linked in the description below.
Nice.
So
Imagine that.
imagine that. As we go through this tonight and just have some writing sprints and talk about it, maybe if things try to come up, or if things do come up, you can try to go watch one of those videos and get a little deeper than what we talk about tonight. So Josh, I appreciate your comment. I try not to stress about it, but I do take a look at it. Yeah. So yeah, definitely take a look at it. So it is, we're 5 minutes in already. So I think we better hit the writing sprint. So
Are we ready?
if I can get my mouse to work. All right. I think we are ready. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our 20-minute writing sprint.
Here we go.
And let us know what you're working on. I'm working on the same thing as last time.
Me too.
So Angie's still editing, and I'm still working on this short story. And believe it or not, I'm going to go back to the hook and work on the hook for a few minutes. So, all right, stop talking, Angie. We got a sprint. Almost halfway through our writing sprint.
Shh.
Don't forget to hit save. 5 minutes left on our sprint here, guys. Keep going. All right, guys, 3 minutes. Keep going. It's a sprint. 30 seconds. Remember to hit save. All right.
Hit save.
Hit save. Got to hit save. How did your writing sprint go? Joshua, are you writing with us tonight? How did it go for you? Did you make any progress in our 20-minute sprint? I don't know about these 20-minute sprints. I just get going here.
Oh, I think, I don't know. I would love to hear about Joshua, how that's going. Me personally, I got 3 pages of edits done.
3 pages of edits.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like much.
Well, it depends on how many red marks are on that page.
Oh, there's enough.
There's enough. There's always a lot of red marks. So
Yeah.
I did a little bit. I worked on my hook a little bit more.
Nice.
And I bounced around inside the story a little bit. And there's a couple of things I really have to work on because there's just some cheesy parts right there right now. So I gotta fix that.
Sometimes a first draft is filled with cheesiness.
It is. It is. So let's talk about the hook versus the inciting incident for a minute.
Okay.
Joshua said he's thinking and not writing. That's
well,
great.
Thinking is good.
Yep. You got to think through the story a little bit sometimes. And that's a good thing to do. So the hook. Let's talk about the hook, Ange.
Okay.
Tell us about the hook.
So the hook, they're generally short, but your hook can encompass your cover, your title, your book description, your first line, your first page. The hook is usually what it's usually short, and it's what grabs the attention of your reader.
So the hook, you can have little bits of the hook scattered throughout the title or the book cover.
Yes.
And then that first line, first paragraph, that's really important for the hook, right?
Yes.
Because you want to grab people's attention. If you don't have a good hook, if you don't grab their attention, they're never going to get farther in the book and determine if they want to read it.
Yeah. And I love the analogy of fishing, because when you go fishing, you use a hook, something sparkly.
Yeah.
it catches.
So how does that compare with the inciting incident?
Yeah, well, the inciting incident is usually farther into the book than at the very beginning, and it's much bigger than the hook usually. It can be an entire page, it can be an entire chapter, it can even be longer than that. The inciting incident is much longer than the hook.
Definitely,
much bigger.
Definitely is. So your hook, it can be something that's kind of fun. It can be something that's engaging, things that grab people's attention right away.
It can be a mystery. It can be something shocking, something stunning. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a part of the short story that I'm writing now. At the beginning of one of those things, he talks about seeing the rattler and things like that. And that's really good for a hook because it's something immediate that makes you go, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But that's very different than the inciting incident.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this.
Oh, so with the hook, you're just getting that you're creating that emotional connection with the reader.
So it's not quite established yet. They need to have a little bit of interest or connection with the character. So they're like, well, why does it even matter?
Yeah.
So what if they saw a rattler? Well, when they're staring it in the eyes, it makes a little bit of a difference, right?
Yeah.
But they're not really invested emotionally in the character yet.
No.
But with the inciting incident,
by the time you hit the inciting incident, you should have established some sort of an emotional connection with the reader and given the reader a reason to care about what's happening.
So with that inciting incident, they're already engaged. They care about the the character. They want to know, did they escape from the rattlesnake? What
Yes.
happened? They get emotionally distraught if they think the character is going to die or something like that, right? So they're engaged with it.
Yes, that's the goal.
So it's a big difference between the hook and the inciting incident.
Yes.
All right, next, let's see here.
So the hook establishes, that's the beginning of who, what, when, why this story is happening. It gets the attention of the reader. When I was in journalism school, that was one of the things they talked about is your very first sentence of an article needed to have all of those elements: who, what, when, and why, and how in journalism. You had to establish that in the first sentence of your article. And it's a really good thing to do because it gets the attention of the reader and it hooks them in.
That's hard to do. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever tried to put all of that in a sentence or two, that's really hard. But that's why we're authors, right?
Well, yeah, because we love words.
That's right. So the inciting incident, tell us more about that.
Well, the inciting incident is an event that sets the story into motion. It gets the ball rolling toward that life-changing event for the protagonist. Think of the inciting incident as the takeoff into the great unknown and the life-changing circumstance.
So do you have any examples of it? Can you give us an example?
I can give you an example of the hook versus the inciting incident from a movie. Would you like to hear that?
You will tell us.
Okay, so if you watch the movie I Am Number 4, if you have not watched it, then this is now you're gonna want to go watch it. But
She's gonna give you a spoiler. She always gives spoilers.
I Am Number 4 is based on a book series, and in the movie, the hook is the beginning. At the beginning of the movie, it shows the young man and his guide, or whatever they call him, I can't remember now, but they're in the jungle, and the hook is the guy that's taking care of this young man. He goes to the door, he gets stabbed, and he says, "Run." And the teenage boy takes off, goes right through the wall of the hut, and eventually gets hunted down. And we suddenly go, okay, what's happening here? It's intriguing. It's captivating. It's what's happening. It hooks you in.
Right.
But the inciting incident is farther in the movie when the young man is in the water and his leg starts glowing, and we're like, okay, what's happening now? That incident on the beach is what propels the story. It gets the story really moving. It sends that young man into his life-changing journey.
So with the hook, there isn't a strong emotional connection yet, but the hook is part of what builds that emotional connection, and you're building up to that inciting incident or that terrible trouble that the character is about to get in. So the more you stay with the story, the more you care about the character.
Yes.
So in that case, by the time you see his leg glowing, you want to know what's going on.
Well, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, those creatures are going to hunt him down too. Oh no, what's going to happen?
Right.
Because you've been hooked in.
Do you have any other examples?
Oh, well, there's lots of examples.
Lots of examples.
I could give another example. Think about the movie Indiana Jones.
Okay.
The first one.
All right.
There's a great example because the hook with that movie is the movie starts out with Indiana Jones. It introduces who he is, what he does, by showing him going into that temple down in the ground. You all remember that part. He goes into the ground. He gets the little gold statue and he gets out, and there's snakes, and we learn that he doesn't like snakes, and he escapes. That's the hook. It introduces the character. You're going, okay, who is this guy?
Right.
Because he's crazy. And what's going to happen next? It hooks us in right there. But the inciting incident is when he gets plucked out of his classroom and sent on a journey to go find the Ark of the Covenant. That is the moment where the story rolls. It gets the story moving, and it sends Indiana Jones into a life-changing journey.
So the hook really does get you interested to prepare you for the bigger story.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, I believe it's time
I think so too.
for another riding sprint. 20 minutes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's see what we can do.
Here we go.
Joshua, I may be with you a little bit this time and spending a few minutes thinking about this because I have to figure out what to do with my character so he's not just being cheesy at the moment. So I may ponder for a minute.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
Halfway. So one of the things that we forgot in our writing sprint is the music. Wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit of music while we have a writing sprint?
Yes.
It would. So next time we'll have the music going while we do our writing sprint. 3 minutes on our final sprint. Don't forget to hit save periodically. We're coming down the final stretch, 2 minutes, and I need to consult with a horse expert for my story. So if you're a horse expert, let me know. Okay, that does our second 20-minute sprint.
Yay!
Yay. All right. So let's see. How did your sprint go? Joshua, are you thinking and taking notes, or are you just thinking? And anybody else that's on, feel free to make some comments. Tell us what you're writing on. Tell us if you're doing fiction, nonfiction, if you have questions about our subject tonight. Just let us know. Hook versus inciting incident.
So how did your sprint go? Your second one?
Well, hold on. What happened? There we go. Okay, so sorry about that. Had a little problem with the PowerPoint, but my second sprint went okay, but sometimes you run into that when you're writing. You kind of write yourself into a position where you have to consult with a Google engine, search engine, or you have to consult with something because you have questions and you got to do a little more research.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that research, sometimes you just got to stop and do the research. I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
So that was my situation. How did yours go, Ange?
Been good. I got through quite a few pages of edits. Edits are so tedious, just the small little things, and that's where I'm at. And I made some real good progress. Yeah.
All right. So how did you guys' writing sprint go, or thinking sprint in Josh's case? So yeah, just let us know. And what else, Ange? What do you have to add for us tonight?
Well, I think that if you're if you're writing the first draft, that's one thing. The first draft of something is kind of fun. It's kind of a fun stage to be at because anything can happen, and it's so much expression, and what are we gonna do? But once you get past the first rough draft, then it kind of can get tedious.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think the first page is tedious, honestly, because you're trying to dial it in. I try to get the first page perfect before I move forward. Yeah, that's maybe not always the best thing to do.
We are
Sometimes
very different writers.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't just sit and focus on one page. I especially when I'm doing my first draft, I write, and then I go back through, and then I do the tedious stuff. But
Yeah, it's the tedious stuff that I don't like personally.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the creative side where you're really refining, you're exploring new hooks, new ways to express something, developing new, plot twists and subplot twists and all that kind of stuff. That's really where I like it. I enjoy that process.
Yeah.
The tedious stuff, not so much.
I think we can all relate to that. Yeah.
All right.
So what's Joshua saying?
Well, my glasses are blurry, so
He says, I've figured out where the story needs to go next. That really is the tricky part, Joshua.
yeah.
To when you're writing a story, to figure out what happens next. Sometimes you can get stuck there, and you have to work through that.
Yep.
In fact, I will tell you this. When I was working on book 2 of the Electrical Saga, I think we had like 40,000 words. And I said, this is not ending up where I wanted them to go. This is not working. And I went, nope, got to start over. And we brainstormed the outline and kind of refined the outline again. Took those 40,000 words and started a new document and completely started over with book 2.
Yeah. But that's part of why I like the outlining style that I do. Maybe we'll talk about that more. You're going to talk about outlining on Friday, right?
I am.
So outlining for me, sometimes I start at the end where I want to end up, and then I just make little steps back to kind of help me figure out what are the steps to move forward so that I can arrive at the place that I want to arrive. Because it's easy for me to really take, a side step and get off on the tangents.
Yeah. Hi, Maria. It's so nice to see you on here tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Maria.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that about wraps us up for tonight. I appreciate everyone joining tonight, participating. And if you have questions, let us know. We'll just keep monitoring the comments and stuff. So even if you're watching this by recording, just let us know. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll try to answer questions and hope that you move forward in your writing project.
Yes, and we'll see everyone.